everyone, welcome to Ciphr, which payroll option is right for you. I'm Catherine, I'm Head of Content here at Ciphr. Joining me today is Jackie Wyman, Account Development Manager. Hi Jackie, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Welcome to everyone joining the webinar. I'm Jackie Wyman. I'm an Account Development Manager for Ciphr and specialise in HR and payroll. Thanks, Catherine.
Thanks, Jackie. Just in case you haven't come across Ciphr before, here's a little bit about us and what we do. So as well as HR and payroll solutions, we offer solutions across recruitment, onboarding, LMS, and also e-learning content. We were founded in the early 90s and we have a team of over 200 experts, with many of our team being HR professionals in their own right or former customer users. We're also focused in the UK mid-market space. We have more than 600 UK clients and serve over 1.5 million systems users. So that's a little bit about us. Just to take a look at today's agenda, Jackie's going to cover the challenges of outdated payroll software, how to find the right payroll software service and provider for you, how to go about assessing their services and what you need from them. She's also going to look at the different types of payroll services you can get. We're going to demystify the difference between bureau or managed or outsourced payroll and clear all of that confusion up. And we're also going to tell you a little bit more about our payroll services. So that's enough from me. I'm going to hand over to Jackie. Thanks, Jackie.
Hi, everyone. So firstly, let's look at some of the challenges that your organisation may be facing with your current payroll processing or your current payroll provider or solution. Next slide. Right, sorry, yeah. So depending on whether you currently run payroll in-house using a payroll software or whether you use a third party to outsource your payroll processing, each payroll run, you'll be managing all sorts of variations and adjustments in pay. Several areas to consider when using the right option, what kind of service, what provider, and it's really important to carry out a full assessment of what your current processes are and where your issues are. So first of all, consider what your payroll run variations are. And it may include things like individual working hours, employees taking sabbatical or family leave, who won't be receiving usual salary. Maybe you've got allowances, commissions, bonus payments. You might also have freelancers and contractors to consider, and particularly in relation to any off-payroll working rules. And that's all before you get to pension contributions, tax, and all the other legislation which you need to comply along with general ledger information output. So quite a lot to consider and quite a lot of processes to get absolutely spot on each payroll run. So having the right qualified and trained staff is critical to getting payroll right and reducing that number of errors. Access the amount and time spent on manual processes every month. It's really important that you know how long you're spending. That's a critical factor when assessing what service is best for you. And also consider what's the result of any inaccurate calculations. In identifying your errors, your payroll errors and what they are and why they occurred. Problems can include things like inaccurate tax payments, underpayments, late payments, and all of which could result in money issues for employees, which is always bad news. Employees, most definitely, it will have an impact on their finances. I'm sure they depend on the pay coming through on time and be correctly. It's imperative towards their own living expenses, which of course will include transport, it'll include mortgage and rent payments, and often their savings plans. So incorrect and late payments will most definitely cause emotional stress. It could result in the deterioration of how someone feels and mental health, and it could also affect their motivation and how they perform at work. So for the payroll team, errors are challenging. They can take quite a long time to find. And sometimes finding the errors can actually take longer than doing the original payroll work in the first place. And all this, of course, affects your bottom line. If you've got an in-house payroll team currently, you'll need to make sure that they're all fully trained with all the annual updates on changes to legislation, and it is your responsibility to check employee information is correct. Even if you use a managed service, managing your own internal employee data is critical to efficiency. So if you are considering or already outsource your payroll, maybe your organisation doesn't have the capability, the capacity or the expertise to run it in-house. So again, you need to choose the right supplier, one that conducts all tasks on your behalf, or maybe some of the tasks. They will employ experts in the area, so it takes the emphasis away from you. And those experts, if they are in the managed service, will know all about the new laws and how it's going to affect your business. So payroll outsourcing providers, they can most definitely help to free up your own time, your own valuable time. They will reduce your ongoing costs. And most importantly, you've got peace of mind if you get the right provider, that your employee payroll is accurate and it's always processed on time. Data security is key, and it's a #1 consideration for anyone in payroll. People can steal employee information. So you need to consider the safeguards that you've got in place. Completing payroll manually does leave vulnerabilities open to fraud. And it might, if you haven't already, it might be worth you considering using a HR solution that is also integrated with your payroll system. That will create a more secure environment for all your people data, and you've got reassurance that it's protected and stored safely. So payroll also plays an important part in retaining employees. So this might be an aspect that you've maybe not considered, but getting payroll wrong, it will most definitely contribute to low levels of trust. Maybe a one-off error will be forgiven, but if you're making repeated errors that are causing financial problems, that could lead to low staff retention, not to mention any reputational damage with staff putting information on social media or review platforms. Reputational damage can have a knock-on effect in terms of impacting future recruitment and getting the right talent. So lots of aspects for you to consider, not only with your current processes, but before you make the decision to move. Next slide, Catherine. So how do you find the right payroll provider or software or service? So it depends on the size of your organisation, and it depends what HR and payroll teams look like for you. You may want to consider different services. You may want a standalone payroll solution that you're running in-house. You might want to go down the route of a HR and a payroll system that's integrated, so integrated HR and payroll. You might want a bureau service, or you might want a fully managed service. All of those we'll look at later in this session. So the employee data, the advantage of an HR and payroll integrated system is the employee data will be held in your HR systems, and all the safeguards and data sets will sit within the HR. So you've kind of got a double layer of security. So it does make sense, if you're in a position to do so, to consider an integrated HR and payroll system. That most definitely improves the chance that your employees are paid accurately and on time. Next slide. So we know that switching your payroll is a headache, and most organisations don't want to do it very often. So before assessing the market, make sure that you've done your best to improve the service that you're already using. That can be sometimes the easiest option and often the most low-cost option. And it could be that just some small tweaks could make all the difference to the service that you're running currently. So you need to do a full audit. That's important. Regular reviews may be enough to prevent payroll errors, but some mistakes may be more fundamental in the source. So conduct an audit. It'll let you assess your current processes. It'll help you to identify opportunities, and it will enable you to implement more efficient procedures. So assess your HR as well as your payroll, just referring back to an integrated system. Also assess your practices, find out any elements that are old that maybe need changing, and look at inaccuracies that also aren't secure. So carry out this audit. It may be enough to find cause of payroll errors and possibly any other negative activities. We recommend to have a regular catch-up with payroll staff. Sometimes HR and payroll don't speak often. It's a good idea to liaise. If you're already using an external payroll service, schedule regular catch-ups. It is imperative. Maybe if their performance is not what it used to be, or the performance needs improving, maybe not completing tasks and they're not accurate. It's easy to ignore small errors, but having a regular scheduled update can sometimes tease out errors and find out solutions. So regular performance reviews, give feedback, and then it gives your current payroll team the chance to improve. And then you can celebrate the success, make sure that your payroll's running consistently and accurately every time. Also, with employees, be proactive about encouraging your employees to review and amend their personal information. If you have got a HR system that gives self-service access, that's the ideal way to keep HR information up to date. Sometimes payroll errors occur because of that incorrect employee information, and that can even stem back to inefficient onboarding processes. It can be easily rectified using verification processes, people that are checking information coming into your system, new starters and managers. You can do processes such as make sure you're checking names, checking national insurance, bank details, and any other relevant information, particularly if it's payroll information. Ciphr customers, our customers benefit from the Ciphr onboarding module, which takes care and automates all the onboarding process, and that can include not only the personal data, bank details, but also policies and job details. So the right HR system can most definitely act as a single source of truth for payroll information, feeding from your HR. It'll reduce the risk of incorrect information, which could cause issues further down the line. And it will most definitely free up valuable time, not only for the payroll team, but it also free up valuable time for the HR team. Next slide. So how do you choose the right technology? So if you're looking for an outsourced service, it's important to establish that your payroll provider is a Baxter-approved bureau. And that means that they can make payments to employees or HMRC on your behalf without the needs for any funds to be transferred over. Any provider that's got accreditation will have undergone stringent security checks. So you'll be confident that you're having your payroll outsourced by a reputable payroll outsourcing company. It's also important to choose a provider whose staff are CIPP qualified. This again means that they've got a broad understanding of payroll and tax legislation, and as part of their certification, they will receive regular updates. Payroll outsourcing companies, they should also be able to offer flexibility, extra services such as pension administration, P11D reporting. Obviously, we've got 1 year left on that before we move to benefits in kind. Your HMRC end of year, your P45s, your P60 production. In-house, we've talked about the HR and payroll integration. And again, we can integrate pay documents into that self-service area, which can include your pay slips, your P60s, your P11Ds and your P45s. Auto-enrollment, that's a key aspect of payroll. Since 6-7 years ago, they brought auto-enrollment in. So again, look for a payroll provider that has the auto-enrollment function built in. Ensure that you look at all your costs. So what does your payroll process currently cost in every single aspect? So that might not just be monthly or annual processing cost. That is most definitely your staff salary costs, any overtime that you might be spending at the moment at payroll end, maybe time spent correcting errors, the staff training, and also you may be covering staff professional membership costs. So consider all of those when you're making an assessment about your payroll costs. Check out communication methods with your chosen provider as well. Consider the kind of support you're getting currently, and consider the kind of support that you want going forward. So have you got a person at the other end of the phone, or is it a ticket only service? Do you have the same team to work with, or is it more like a call center environment? Will you get an account manager or a customer success manager? So having access to the right support at the right time is a critical factor to consider as well. Next slide. So how do you understand the different payroll services out in the market? So the best option for your organisation will depend on your requirements, and each option has its disadvantages. So we'll look at the difference between in-house, bureau, and a fully managed payroll service. Next slide. So the definition of a managed payroll service may be referred to by some providers as a bureau service. I'll talk later in the slides, but Ciphr offer a selection of 3 services. We've got the run the payroll in-house, we've got a bureau service, and we've got a fully managed service. And the next slides will explain the difference across those 3. So next slide. So just to highlight the 3 areas shown on slide currently is the 3 options that you can choose if you work with Ciphr. So you can choose the Ciphr in-house payroll. You'll run that yourselves with all those elements of your in-house CIPP experts. We can offer you a tailored payroll bureau service, and Ciphr can also offer you a fully managed service. So the question is, do you build your own team of in-house experts, or do you outsource to a specialist provider? So in-house payroll, let's take the first one. This is when you as an organisation have an internal department and they deal with the payroll and all the end-to-end processing for the organisation. So they're your employees. They're paid the same through the same payroll system that they're managing. The payroll staff will usually be either in HR, the finance team, or if you're slightly larger, you'll have a dedicated payroll team. And you'll probably have an in-house CIPP qualified expert. So their role will include preparing and checking all your payroll data, whether that's being fed from HR or whether it's being fed from other sources. And they will perform the full end-to-end calculation of the payroll run. Their duties will include making returns to outside bodies such as HMRC, pension providers, courts, and they'll also make payments and distribute those pay slips and pay advices. So having your own in-house payroll team means that you've got control and flexibility to make the right choices and sometimes better decisions. So sometimes running in-house payroll will work for some customers. Now, just moving to the box on the right-hand side, and I'll come back to the centre part of Bureau, a fully managed service, particularly with the Ciphr fully managed payroll service, is when you outsource your payroll by choosing a third party, maybe Ciphr, to outsource and carry out your full end-to-end payroll function on your behalf. And firms will provide the basic service, taking on all the tasks, such as liaising with the HMRC, maintain compliance and legislation in the software, all your employment legislation, and a full delivery of that payroll service. And a good, strong outsourced payroll service will make you feel like the outsourcer is actually your own payroll team. That's a sign of a good outsourced company. And while you reduce your costs and time, you've got all that time to focus on other more strategic things within the business. So depending on which provider you choose, you may have the option to tailor that service. And it could be that some providers call it a bureau service. Now, in the world of Ciphr Bureau, you can customize and tailor what kind of service you want. So you can strip out some of the fully managed service. You might choose to make your own submissions to your pension provider. You might choose to make your own submissions to BACS. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. So Ciphr have got the 3 options available. We've got our own Ciphr payroll software where you can take that in-house, run your own payroll. We've got the fully managed service, which is full end-to-end HMRC, BACS and pension provider. We've got the Ciphr Bureau that sits in the middle that you can tailor. Next slide. So a typical managed service or bureau from Ciphr, firstly, it allows us to register as your payroll agent, and that gives us the authority to deal with the HMRC related matters on your behalf. So that's the first part that you're alleviated from needing to do. It also enables us to download all of your tax code notifications, and that includes your student loans, your start-stops and other notifications. And that comes directly into our software. Ciphr software has the functionality to pull those notifications directly into the employee record. So we don't have to manually download anything from the HMRC. And that makes us a completely paperless service, either from the managed or the bureau. We'll also make your monthly submissions on your behalf to HMRC. So we take care of you always being compliant. We can also deduct and pay the attachment of earnings for your employees, and we can pay directly to third parties at the same time we're paying your employees directly to their bank accounts. Most BACS approved managed services like Ciphr will be able to send payments directly from your bank account directly to your employees' bank accounts, and that's via direct credits. And how that works is our customers link their Sun BACS user service number to our bureau service number, and then via an authorization process, we make the salary payments and any third-party payments directly on your behalf. So the way that we receive data is via an API or a secure drive, or more specifically via Ciphr PayLink, which I'll talk about in just a second. So typically there's 3 ways in which data is received by our managed service. It might be from a HRIS system, either manual changes or direct download from the HMRC. So once our managed service team have received your data, we send back to you, the customer, a set of check-in and validation reports. And these reports will enable you to check the payroll processing and give you an opportunity to spot any potential errors. And then it gives you time to make any adjustments, which then you communicate back to us. We work on a secure workbook. We rerun the reports if you've made any amendments, and then we send them back. And once you approve the report, we are then ready to process and complete your payroll. So we also have a mechanism to approve each monthly payroll. And in Ciphr's payroll case, we have an online portal. So if you're a Ciphr HR and payroll customer, we can push the pay slips into self-service on HR. If you choose to be just a Ciphr payroll customer, we've got a portal, a MyPay portal, where your employees can log in and look at pay slips. And it's through the same secure login as an administrator where you'll make your monthly BACS totals for the period. So while the payroll is being approved, the managed service, our Ciphr managed service team, we also have the authority to proceed to BACS and publish your pay slips, and also send all your submissions to the HMRC. There's also end of year that we include in our service, all your annual cycles, your P60s, P11Ds that will soon be replaced with benefits in kind, and all those forms can be delivered electronically, and I've already referenced that we can push them for easy access by your employees. Reporting to HMRC is done by Ciphr, and it's done through our RTI, which is an efficient way of reporting the payroll cycle to HMRC. And each submission is made after each payroll cycle so that it gives HMRC a real-time view of your company and the employee's tax affairs. Auto-enrolment forms a key part of the payroll process. companies are obliged to place employees into a pension scheme, and that does have impact to the payroll processing team, and it is a main part of the processing function. So auto enrolment is included. So whether you choose Ciphr in-house payroll or whether you choose our bureau or our managed service, it includes auto enrolment as standard. And that will do all your assessments included. And as part of the payroll cycle, a calculation will run, the assessment's done, and the employee will be categorised based on their age and their earnings. And if they're eligible, they'll be put in the relevant pension scheme. There is an opt-out option if employees choose to opt out. So once the pension deductions have been calculated and processed through the payroll, then we can also be responsible for making the submissions to your pension providers if you want us to. So there'll be monthly returns, normally consisting of contribution files and a new starter file, which we can upload directly to your pension provider. Most payroll managed services or payroll bureaus will deal with paying the pension providers, and there'll be a standard export template that will be used after every payroll cycle to report those pension deductions. Next slide. So consider all the factors that we've looked at, and you will be confident that you'll get the right solution or service that is absolutely right for your organisation. Next slide. So just to recap, I've talked about the 3 key areas that are most common in payroll providers, and I've already referenced that Ciphr can offer any. We do have a couple of other nuances. So you can take the Ciphr payroll and run your payroll in-house. You can take the fully managed service where we do the full end-to-end, including all your submissions, or you can customise your Ciphr payroll service, and that's where we call it a bureau. Some other providers might refer to a fully managed service as bureau. There are a couple of other options available from Ciphr. You can also include just a BACS-only filing if you want to take that. And it can also include some of your other HMRC filings. So you can just take a filing option from us if you don't want the in-house bureau or fully managed. Next slide. So just a little bit about what you should be looking for when choosing a payroll solution, whether that's an in-house option or whether it's an outsource. All of the following areas apply to Ciphr. So it's a Ciphr, in the Ciphr payroll, it's a SaaS deployment. It's securely hosted in the Microsoft Azure data center, and the data centers are sited in the UK. We're ISO 27001 accredited, and we also have another layer of data security that not all providers will have, and that is Cyber Essentials Plus accreditation. We are HMRC recognised, we're RTI enabled. We're externally audited, which I'll expand on the next slide. We're also approved on the government's G-Cloud procurement framework. The Ciphr payroll is accessed via a remote desktop, a secure remote desktop application, and single sign-on comes as standard. So we fully support all that GDPR legislation. So next slide. So how do we ensure that we deliver you the best service every single time? So we've got a long-standing reputation and pedigree for all ranges of service that we offer. And just to share with you a little bit around our expertise, we've got a strong team of payroll experts. We're up to 25 payroll specialists in our bureau and in our managed service team. And all of those experts are CIPP qualified, which of course through their certification, they're always up to date with legislation. We provide regular updates and training. So customers that take Ciphr's payroll software in-house, we will automatically update the software for you. So even though you're doing your own processing, you can be rest assured you've always got the latest legislation. In terms of being a BACS approved bureau, we've been an approved bureau for over 10 years. We're processing over £2 billion worth of BACS payments every year. Being a BACS approved bureau, we're heavily audited, And it means that we don't ever have funds sitting in our bank account at any time. This absolutely complies with the money laundering regulations. The audit from BACS occurs every 3 years. It's an in-depth audit, and we've successfully completed each time in the 10 years we've been approved all of our audits. We've got online pay documents, which we've already referred to. And we've got 3-time coverage. So for our managed service customers that want us to do full end-to-end, you're not just dealing with one person. There is contingency built into the team. So you'll never call in and you'll never get a response that, oh, that person's not here today, we can't help you. There is a team that we give you 3 times coverage, and there's a rotation around taking absence. So you're always covered if ever you make a call. We have routine procedures so that we carry out frequent reviews with you. We've got a set of reports. So when we set the service up, you've got over 300 reports to choose from, and we'll sit down and ask you which reports you want. There's also the ability to create your own bespoke reports also. We can perform, either you can run it yourself using the software, or as a managed service and bureau, we can run it for you, which is your full end-to-end, end of year, and you're filing through to HMRC. We also offer to all of our payroll customers, regardless of which service you choose, seminars, customer support groups. We've got online learning academy content through our Ciphr Academy, and we schedule in regular reviews with your payroll team. Next slide. So just to finish off in terms of integrating, if you use a third-party software or third-party methods to feed payroll changes either to our managed service team or to your own in-house payroll team, we've created reports and exports for integration. So we can integrate with third-party systems such as your pension providers, your finance systems. We'll create all your outputs in your general ledger formats with all your nominal codes, and that can include your code segments for your chart of accounts. So there's a high degree of integration that we'll configure during the implementation process. Now, for any customers that are considering an integrated HR payroll system, data moves seamlessly from all the HR changes into Ciphr Payroll, whether it's sending it over to our managed service team or bureau, or whether you're running it with your own payroll in-house. And that's a process that we've developed called PayLink. So it takes all the changes that have been made and authorized in HR, and it maps those over via a dedicated interface over into the payroll solution. And at the same time, we configure whichever output files you need for running in-house. I mentioned before your general ledger, it includes your pension output. It also includes your BACS file output. So the integration will move over from HR, things such as starters, leavers, job and pay changes, allowances, and any other variables. Alternatively, you might choose to bring changes into payroll via things like CSV files, which is absolutely fine as well. And once we've done the payroll processing, or you've done it in-house, if you're an integrated Ciphr HR and Ciphr Payroll customer, we'll move the pay documents, your pay slips, your P60s, your P45s, we'll move those into self-service. Alternatively, if you're a payroll-only customer, you've got access to a pay window where your employees will get a login, and they can log in and access the pay slips through self-service. Next slide. So just to recap on choosing the right payroll service and the right provider, I just wanted to give you a few points to take away. So consider a cloud system. Consider whether you want an integrated HR and payroll software, which can help eliminate your downtime, and it will also help eliminate any risks of data compromise. Think about a HMRC recognised and real-time information provider. Think about ISO accreditation. Auto-enrolment, your pension auto-enrolment is a must. Can your provider offer you a fully BACS approved service? How do you get access, and how do your employees get access to those key pay documents? Find out expertise, qualifications, security and certification. And as a reminder, Ciphr can provide you with any solution from running in-house, midway with a bureau, which you can help us to tailor for you, or a fully managed service, which is end-to-end, including end-of-year process. Next slide. So that's a summary of helping you to find the right payroll provider. I'll let Catherine just sign off with how you can access more content from Ciphr. But thank you very much for attending, and please feel free to contact us for any information.
Thanks so much, Jackie, for that whistle-stop tour of all of our payroll service and software options, of which there are many. So basically, whatever kind of service you're looking for from payroll, we can help you. So please get in touch with us and share with us your payroll challenges, and we'll share with you how we might be able to help. You can find us at ciphr.com, that's the address on your screen, or you can reach us at info@ciphr.com if you have any specific questions or would like to speak to one of our experts. Thank you, Jackie, for this presentation. Really appreciated it. And thank you, everyone, for attending. If you have any feedback, please use the exit form on your screen that you'll see afterwards. It really helps us improve our presentations for future webinars. Otherwise, thank you very much for attending, and have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.